Alrighty everyone, we are going to be tying up the Red PT Jig. This is a very simple pheasant tail variation tied up on a jig hook, and then we have a jig bomb on here just to have a little bit extra weight. This is a great dropper fly. This is a great lead fly when you're fishing tail waters, or back end flies when you're fishing the freestones. Very versatile fly, just like most jig flies are, but we're going to show you how to tie this one up. We're going to start out here with the Umpqua X-series, and this is a perdi-jig, size 16. And that bead, again, is going to be the drop beads from Floyd Mill, and this is the 2.5 millimeter in black nickel. So, I'm going to get this going. My thread is going to be the Uni 8/0 red. You can also use the Semperfli 12/0 waxed in red. It's going to be a great substitution for you. So, we're going to get this bead a little bit secured on here. You'll notice on these beads there is this curved dented in section and then the curved going out section. When we're tying these jig bombs in a non-balanced version, we'll show you balanced flies later with these drop beads. For right now, just going to show you how to use them standard. The curve that's going inward, we want on the interior of the fly so it can help lock in materials. So, just going to get a couple thread wraps on there. That is good right there. Now, I'm going to put on some wire. Now my wire, I have two different choices of wire that I can use. First is going to be the Ultra Wire Brassy in red, and then a great substitute, which I think is a little bit better of a choice nowadays because of their quality control, is Semperfli. And this is their 0.2 millimeter wire in red. This is going to be an equivalent to Brassy. But anyways, yeah, the Semperfli, super high quality stuff. Love this. So, I'm going to take my wire here, and I'm just going to get this secured on here. Bring that thread back. Get touch and turns down to where the hook starts to curve to right about there. So that is perfectly good right there. Awesome. Now we're going to take our pheasant tail. As you can see, this feather's been used a little bit. You can use different colorations. I just used the standard colored pheasant tail. Natural seems to work really good. I'm going to pull 6 of these fibers off here. We're going to tie in the tail. All right, now that I have my feathers, I'm not going to be too worried if the lengths of these tips are not all the same. I kind of like them to be a little bit off just to have a little bit of natural differentiation. Anyways, I'm going to get this in here. I'm going to find the length that I like, not get too worried, but we'll start about there. So I'm going to pinch this off, take this, and we're just going to do 2 or 3 wraps on the back end. Don't like to cut my pheasant tail. Makes it a lot faster process if we just tie it in at one point, wrap, and keep going. So that length looks just a touch too long. There you go. Pulled it in just a tad bit. That length of those tails looks good. I'm going to give it that one more thread wrap, secured on top. Pull this pheasant tail up and start wrapping in front. So we have tied in our tailing material. Now I'm not going to cut this like I was saying because I'm going to use this to continue on our body. So now I'm going to wrap this fly going clockwise, counterclockwise, one way or the other. I find it doesn't really matter which way you wrap your pheasant tail or wire as far as the longevity and health of the, not health, but durability of the fly. But what I do find that does matter is making sure that our flies, our materials I should say, are wrapped in separate directions. So I'm going to wrap my PT in one direction, lock that off. I didn't tie it all the way up the body because I don't want to create a bunch of bulk. All right, we got our pheasant tail situated. Now I'm going to wrap my wire in the opposite direction to lock in our pheasant tail, create a very durable fly. It's going to last a long time. Pheasant tail is a softer material that is more soft. It breaks a lot. So if you aren't completely careful with it, glue, wrapping your wire in opposite direction, all that kind of stuff, it will fall apart a lot faster than other materials. So that is why I wrap my wire in the opposite direction, locking that pheasant tail and make sure it does not like to split apart. Did a bunch of securing wraps on our wire here. Gonna bring a couple thread wraps in front and just go ahead and twist that wire out of there. Now, I'm gonna take this pheasant tail, fold it backwards, and I'm going to just wrap some thread on it and bring our thread back down the body a little bit. Create a nice thorax section. So that's what we're looking at so far. Now that I have these pheasant tail pulled back and locked in, I'm gonna put some dubbing on. This is the Fulling Mill Eco Warrior dub, and this is the Tobacco Brown. That's what we're gonna use for our thorax instead of peacock. Dubbing just seems to last a little bit longer, and I want this body to be a little bit more seamless in coloration. Provide a slightly more realistic profile, and also with the dubbing you can keep it a little bit thinner than you can with, say, the ostrich. So I'm just gonna get this dubbing worked in there. It's okay if it's a little bit bulky. You want our thoraxes to be bulky anyways. So that looks good there. Take this pheasant tail, bring it over the top, and secure that in. Take your time with it, make sure everything's even. And I'll probably do 3 wraps of that. That looks good there. Now I'm going to split this pheasant tail evenly. 3 and 3, I want 3 legs going on each side. I'm gonna kind of work those separate and get some good wraps to separate these. It'll take a little bit with these jig style flies, especially with these drop beads. They have an ample amount of room. All right, now that we got our legs thrown in there, I'm just gonna add a little bit more red thread because I'm trying to create a little hot spot on this fly. I would say that's probably good right there. Take our whip finisher, get a 3 to 4 turn whip finish. I'm not going to do multiples on this because we got UV going over the top of this here in a second. So that's good there. Now I'm going to take some Gulf Thin Man. You can also use a classic size. I just like the Thin Man. It's a little easier for me to control, but in theory you should be using the classic when using winging cases for pheasant tail or other styles of flies that have the wing casing. So I'm just going to get a nice even coat of that on there and pop it with my Loon Infinity light. About 10 seconds or so. All right, and so with that wing case, essentially what we're doing is just making that wing case a little bit more durable, make that red pop a little bit more, and create a seamless transition between our body and our bead. And that's gonna hold up really good. So now what we're gonna do is just take our legs here, pull them all back, find a section that you like where to cut your legs. I like the second wire wrap, and I'm just gonna cut. And boom, that is the finished version of the Red PT Jig. It's a very efficient, easy to tie fly. Once you get it down, it's just like tying any other pheasant tail. It takes no time at all. You will notice that my my tailing is a little bit long on this fly. I do like to have a little bit longer legs just because this hook is very, very short because of the large gap, shorter style hook. So when this is wet, all these tailing fibers are going to kind of come together and then just have a little bit of sprawling right at the end. So it's still going to imitate your mayfly presentation very effectively and very naturally without using a 2x long hook. So that's why it looks a little bit goofy right now, but once it's in the water, it fishes amazing. I was in Wyoming this past week and pretty much could only catch fish on this fly under a hopper. So Red PT Jig, probably the best hopper dropper fly out there. Also great on a Euro rig and on an indicator rig, whether you're on tailwaters as a lead fly, again, or on a bigger river fishing it as a back fly. So give this fly a go. Thanks for watching.